Welcome to DaDen. I'm your host, Masashi, and today we're actually having a different kind of shape. Jayden is in New Zealand right now. Jayden, how are you doing?
Yes, good to. Due to some unfortunate circumstances, I'm back in New Zealand at the moment, just seeing family. But very grateful for technology, allowing me to join you guys through online. This is new for me. It's the first time we've done it on the Den, so it's actually exciting. A little nervous, but excited to be back on the Den.
Okay, Jayden, we have a guest today. How should I pronounce your name? Tahir?
Yeah, Tahir is fine.
Okay,
yeah,
Tahir.
Yeah.
Okay, Tahir, you're from the Pakistan Embassy. If you can introduce yourself to our audience.
Thanks for having me on the Den. And my name is Tahir Cheema. I'm the Trade and Investment Counselor, serving at the Embassy of Pakistan in Tokyo. And I deal with all the business that's happening between Japan and Pakistan. Yeah.
How long have you been in Japan for?
I'm just completing my 4th year.
Oh.
Yeah.
How's Japanese been for you?
It has been amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's your language?
Language is, you can say 0.00001 maybe. I only think I can say daijoubu. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Very important word.
Yeah.
Very important word.
I love that.
What was the first word you learned?
Daijoubu.
Oh, daijoubu. Only?
Daijoubu.
And the second was mindokosai.
2 important words. So Jayden, that's a kind of a different type of guest. Before we had 2 guests before this, who were kind of related to rugby. So in your field,
Yes.
do you have any questions for the guests today?
Yeah, it's very grateful to have you on, Tahir. And you spoke a little bit on language. So before you came over, did you study? Were you able to study Japanese, or were you kind of just thrown in the deep end when you first arrived?
So, yes, I did not learn Japanese before coming here. I did not make an effort to learn Japanese when I got here. And now I'm leaving Japan without any Japanese because actually my work does not require Japanese as such because one, that I usually deal with these large Japanese corporations, shoshas, and they have staff which can speak English because they're more international. And then luckily I have an interpreter. She helps me with translating Japanese things. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So how about outside of the work world, especially if you're going out to a restaurant with your family without the interpreter?
Yeah, so
how do you deal with doing stuff like that?
Yeah, big thanks to Google Translate. It has been helping us too much. And like, of course, I spend more time outside, like with common Japanese people who are not related with my job. Like I love hiking, camping, trekking, going out, where I meet a lot of Japanese people who can't speak English and I can speak Japanese. So we use Google Translate. And I've been able to make great Japanese friends who have 0 English knowledge and I have 0 Japanese knowledge. But even if we are traveling together, maybe for 2-3 hours, we will just keep using our Google Translate. And it has helped.
Is it frustrating sometimes though, like trying to use Google Translate? How would you? Because I know when people travel to Japan, most of them probably can't speak any Japanese either, and a lot of their problems is just trying to communicate in that frustrating barrier. Do you find it frustrating at times? Or?
I never found it that way because I really enjoyed it because, it was kind of a mutual effort by the person I was conversing with. Like they were using translator to translate to English and I've been using translator to translate in Japanese. And rather, in my experience, we enjoyed this. Like once I was going to Scuba-san with my friend Sasaki from Ibaraki, and we both were using Google Translate. And because we were going through a very beautiful winding road down the hill, and he was like, Yokata. And I was like, what is Yokata? And then we both used Google Translate. And now, and it happened 3 years ago. And now whenever we meet, the first word is Yokata, because we really enjoy that support that Google Translate gave us. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's cool because you can. That's how you guys can kind of build a friendship or relationship is through Google Translate. That's real cool to hear.
Yeah.
Jayden, when you first came here, you never had Google Translate?
No, I didn't even have a cell phone there.
Oh, yeah,
I was
that's
like,
not even from New Zealand. You didn't bring it to Japan.
I had like New Zealand at that time. They didn't have iPhones. Well, they had one, but it was very, very expensive. So I came over here and was just sign language. A lot of sign language. Not that I can speak sign language, but a lot of broken English and a lot of sign language was how I dealt with it. Google Translate would have been very helpful. Very, very helpful. Because that was half my frustration, was communication, especially for me. It was similar to you, just thrown into deep end. Told I was going to Japan in a weekend. Came over, not only was it cold, but the communication barrier was very difficult to try and get through. So I really relate with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but especially during that, back in the days, Google Translate weren't that good. So you came in a really good time, actually. The Google Translate is much more advanced compared to that time.
Even sometimes, like, I do feel that because it's very difficult to translate I and you. Like, if I'm writing I, it will say you, and if I'm writing you, it will say I.
Mm.
But as long as some main basic words in the communication are translated, that's fine. But the issue or frustration I faced when I got here was not with Google Translate, but with Google Maps. because especially when I got to like some place like Shibuya or Shinjuku, so Google Maps would be lost. And I would just keep trying to, or even like at a train station, it will be like when there are like very high buildings, so Google Maps would be lost. And I think that's how I started my relationship with Google Maps as well, because then I started contributing to Google Maps. And so it's interesting that I kept contributing to Google Maps in the last 2-3 years, not realizing that something was happening, like people were actually viewing those reviews and those additions I was making to Google Maps. So it's just 5-6 months ago, we were sitting and my son was like, hey, have you seen this Google Maps, your account? And I was like, yes. And I went there and I saw there were like more than maybe 5 or 6 million views of what I have been contributing.
Oh, wow.
And I think this morning I saw it was 9.7 million maybe. So, but Google Maps has also improved in these years now. Like I don't get lost in those areas where I used to get lost.
So you mentioned that you contributed to the Google Maps. What do you mean by that? Like, did you upload video, like photos and stuff?
So photos and some reviews and so what the places are, like which building is which building, which coin is which coin, and so things like that, and which places you should go with your kids, and which trails are nice, and which camping place is affordable, and which food is halal maybe, and so yeah.
Okay, so the reason why you contributed to Google Maps was because you have a frustration, or was it something that you wanted to do?
No, actually, when I was getting lost at Google Maps, and then like for example, if I have to go to a certain building and I was unable to find it, I was just going right, left, and then I thought I should read reviews of people, and then then I thought, okay, if people are writing something, maybe that can be helpful, and if I can contribute something, maybe I should also contribute. But in the last 2 years, I did not realize that actually I could check my account, what I was contributing to. I would only go to the maps, not to the contribute button. So it's just like 6-7 months ago that I clicked that, and I knew that. And that further motivated to contribute more.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
Sounds like you're like is it kind of like blogging through reviewing? Is that what you're kind of doing? You're just giving your recommendations and advice through your reviews?
Yeah, that's interesting also because recently, because now a lot of my Japanese friends, they know that I'm leaving Japan. And as I told you that I've been traveling all over Japan in the last 4 years, covering from Hokkaido till Ishigaki. So they have been encouraging me to write some kind of, travel notes for foreigners, or like a small picture book, or So I was thinking that maybe the contributions I've been making on Google Maps can help me recollect all those things, like the places I went to, if I liked certain food or not, or if a cruise was nice or no, or which weather was good to go to Yuzawa Onsen or not. So yeah, definitely.
Wow. Is there like, I don't know, like, is that like your hobby or is like a business kind of a standpoint?
No business, of course, hobby, because being a public servant, I just can't have a business. So, and no motivation for that as well.
Okay.
So when my kids or my friends or my colleagues say, "Oh, you can actually monetize some of this," like because and you are getting followers, like maybe on Instagram or somewhere. So I always tell them that maybe not at the moment.
Okay.
Maybe once I retire somewhere. Yeah.
So you like to travel a lot.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh, that's something you could relate to with Jayden. Jayden likes to travel a lot as well.
Yeah, I love traveling, especially throughout Japan. There's so many beautiful hidden gems throughout Japan that I think many tourists only go to the main spots, but there's many hidden gems throughout Japan that I think people can explore those as well. For yourself, what's one hidden gem? If you want, you don't have to share. Maybe
it's a secret.
It may be a secret, but what's some hidden gem spots outside of the usual touristy spots that you know of?
So, yeah, it's of course most of the places which are very, very beautiful, like having natural beauty, like a lot of places in Furano and Bie in Hokkaido. They are like, but again, they are not. I can't say they are hidden gems because people know about those places and they go to. But interestingly, one place that I think I kind of go to very frequently, and I don't see a lot of people going there, is the drive near Mount Scuba, which is not in the front, but on the back of Mount Scuba. There is a biking track, but the drive next to that biking track is amazing. And if you keep going that way, then a few mountains ahead, you find this very, very hidden soba place.
Oh.
The very authentic soba restaurant right in the middle of the forest, where no indication that there is a restaurant in that forest, in that hill. And a very narrow street goes there where you can, like, only one car can go, and even not without hitting some leaves and bushes.
Oh.
And you get there, and it's a pre-order restaurant, like run by an old Japanese couple. And the place is so beautiful. Like they have made that restaurant in a way like a small water stream is flowing, and very nice Japanese garden with some fruit orchard. And they make that soba noodles fresh every morning. Like they make the dough and they...
Oh, okay. They have a fresh water besides them.
So I've been sharing that spot with my very close friends. Like
you didn't contribute to Google Maps for that?
Yeah.
So it is on Google Maps because I wrote review for them as well. So yeah, it is on Google Maps.
Now everyone knows.
Yeah. So but such places like,
Scuba area, is that in the Ibaraki area?
Yes, Ibaraki.
Oh, okay, yes. I didn't know. I knew they had a mountain there, but I didn't know there was.
Mount Scuba is my favorite mountain in Japan. I've been to many mountains, but Mount Scuba is famous because it has two peaks. So it's known like one peak is male peak and one peak is female peak. So if you're hiking Mount Scuba, so the real hike enjoyment is that you touch both summits. So you take a hike, go to one peak, then get down in the middle, then go up and touch the other peak. So, and if you don't want to hike, there are other options, like you can take like a cable car or a ropeway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there are two other options to go there as well.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
If you hiked it before?
I did 5 times.
Oh wow! How is it?
So, like, I have done it in all seasons, like in very cold season, in very hot season, very humid season.
Oh wow!
So,
You've done everything then.
So Mount Scuba is my favorite. I camp on Mount Scuba. I do barbecue on Mount Scuba. I hike Mount Scuba. I take every guest to Mount Scuba.
Okay.
Yeah. So, the hike, they have, I think, 6 or 7 different trails that you can pick from. It's interesting. I have done many mountains in Japan and maybe in some other places, but the best thing about hiking Mount Scuba is that in just one trail, you experience all different kinds of hiking experience. Like there would be very steep, there would be stairs, there would be big rocks, there would be actual very big rocks with chains to hold and climb. And then there will be like a lot of trees and routes you have to cross. So it's like having multiple hiking experience in one trail. So, and the routes I have been taking, they are like around 3 to 4 hours.
Oh,
yeah, one way.
One way?
Yeah. So let me share my first experience. Like it's interesting that when I first thought I should go to Mount Scuba, it was, I think, February of 2021. And so I read about it. I read some reviews and people were telling that there is a ropeway. So I thought, okay, I will. It was February 5th. It was very cold. There was no snow, but there was ice on the track.
Oh.
So I thought I will hike like 3-4 hours and then I will take the ropeway back. So because that I could do in that weather. So it's interesting that I was hiking and of course it was difficult. And once I reached almost the first peak, I was so happy and I was taking photos and sun was shining. And so I was doing it alone. So I was taking some selfies and there were 2 old Japanese men sitting there and they started laughing. And I was like, what's happening? They said, oh, are you doing it for the first time? I said, yes. And they said, oh, this is actually the first peak. So you go down and then go to the second peak. Then that is actually going to be the best thing done. And the ropeway station is on the second peak. So in any ways, if you wanted a ropeway back, you had to go there. So till that, there was like, it was just like a normal kind of hike with some rocks and some mud. And so after that, it was like very big rocks, but very beautiful. And then I went to the first peak and then I went down to the second peak. And then the third peak, the second peak, when I was hiking that, it was like kind of mud because ice was melting. And so it was difficult to climb and it's very steep. And somehow I made it. And when I got there, there was a sign that ropeway was closed for maintenance.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. But anyways, I made it back. Yeah.
Oh, you climbed back then?
No, it's interesting that when I saw that the ropeway was closed and when I reached that peak, the view was so beautiful that I forgot like whatever level of tiredness I had. Because Mount Scuba also stands quite standalone like Fujisan. So once you are at the summit, you can see broad, like a big view. So from Mount Scuba summit, you can see like Sichura and the lakes, and then like it's like this because it's all flat, kind of Ibaraki area, rest of it. So there I only saw there was another Japanese guy standing there, and he was happy but not very tired, not sweating. And I asked him, like, can you take a picture of me? He could understand a little English, and he said, okay, but on one condition. And I said, what? He said, then you will have to take a photo of me. I said, that's fine. So he took my photo, I took his photo, and I wanted to ask him why he was so fresh. But I did not. And he said, why are you so like tired and like just done? And I was like, like it took me almost 4 hours or more than 4 hours to get here. And now the ropeway is closed. And I was like, why? You are so fresh. He said, actually, this side is ropeway. The other side is cable car. So I just came on the cable car. And for me, it was 5 minutes hike to the summit. And I'm like, okay, really? So then he gave me this idea that why don't you go back on the cable car? And then we started walking towards cable car. And he could speak little English, very little English. And I had no idea about Japanese at that time. So we were using, again, Google Translate. And by the time we got back, we became very good friends. And that is Sasaki-san I was earlier mentioning. So he lives in Ibaraki. And I'm very happy that just because to continue this friendship and make it even better, he started learning English.
Oh.
Yeah, he started taking some classes. And now for the last 3 years, we are kind of best friends. And we go to Scuba-san together. Yeah.
Jayden teaches English for a living. Okay. Maybe he could be the teacher.
Yeah, so Sasaki-san, if you're watching, sign up to Let's English Channel. We can speak English together. We can improve that. Not sure about walking up Mount Scuba together.
You should try walking it.
He would want that because he loves the ginger on scuba, scuba-san. So I think he's kind of follower of that ginger because he gives a lot of importance to the ginger there.
Also, there's a ginger there at the mountain.
Yeah, it's so at the top of the summit there is like this just small ginger representation, but from where this cable car starts is a very big, very famous ginger of Scuba-san, and a lot of people come there, and you can actually drive to that place, and you can park and go to the ginger.
That's interesting. A shrine in a mountain, but it's a small shrine. It's not a huge one.
It's big.
Oh, it's big.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's big, yeah.
Wow. So it must have been like a training ground. That's why like there's so many like one point to the other if you go.
Maybe. So maybe that was my lucky day that I clicked every point in between.
It sounds like your unfortunate experience, but it became a good experience in the end.
Yes, yeah. I could meet Sasaki-san.
That's so at least you got something out of it.
Yeah.
It's like that's interesting. So it took you 4 hours to get from that one peak to the other peak.
No, from like the starting point of the hike to the second peak.
To the second peak, right? But when you get to the first peak, you have to go to the second peak, right?
Yeah,
it's connected.
Yeah, but that distance is less, but it is tough because you get down from first peak and then you climb the second peak, which is very steep.
You have to go.
It's kind of V on the top.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like this. So you go to the first peak, you come back a little, and then you go up. And then, so haven't you seen Scuba-san?
No, I have not.
So even if you're just driving out of Tokyo towards Chiba or Ibaraki and you are on Joban Highway, so if you are just like 15 minutes away from Tokyo, you can start seeing Scuba-san.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never noticed.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
How far is it from? What's the best way to get to Scuba-san?
Yeah, so the best way is
by train or by car.
It's kind of equal because if you are driving, it will take you 50 to 55 minutes to reach Scuba, and then going towards that parking place on Scuba-san to start hike. But the first time I did was that I took Scuba Express train from Tokyo to Scuba. From Scuba station, there are buses going to Scuba-san. So you take that bus, and from that bus station, the hiking points start. So that was the first time which I did train and bus. But since then, I've been driving. Driving is fine too. So, yeah.
By train and bus, it takes like an hour?
So by train, actually, it's an hour to get to Scuba, and then from there, maybe 15-20 minutes on the bus. Yeah.
So by car, it's a little bit fast, but not really much of a difference, right?
Yeah, but actually, on car also, reaching Scuba is 50 minutes, and then again 15-20 minutes to reach Scuba-san.
There's no difference.
So it's exactly the same time. Yeah.
Do you need when you first went there, you didn't have a hiking gear?
No, I just had like proper shoes, but no sticks, and I was covered properly because it was very cold.
Okay.
It was a sunny day, but a very, very cold day of February. So I think you're fine if you even don't have sticks, but having a stick can help. But at the most difficult point near the summit, they have chains, so you can just hold the chain to climb up. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. In my image, chains are like for summits that's kind of dangerous. So I have a feeling like...
But for me, it's kind of more exciting, adding to the beauty of that. When you're getting close to the top, you get this feel that you actually have done something. Like, because the last few steps are like you're really making some effort. And when you get on that rock where the chain ends, that is so beautiful.
Are there any like resting point on the way? In between?
So there is that I was telling you that first resting point where I met those two old Japanese guys. There are a couple of benches you can sit, but of course you have to have your own things, your own water or something to eat. But nothing like no restrooms. They are when you reach the second summit.
Okay. Yeah. Jayden, you've been to Ibaraki?
Before, I've been to Ibaraki.
Nikko, right?
I haven't been to Mount Scuba though. I usually, when I was a student, I drove out to Owarai, Owarai Beach.
Owarai Beach?
Owarai Umi.
Owarai Umi. That sounds like...
Owarai Umi.
Is it really Owarai Umi? Is it really Owarai?
Yeah. Is it? Owarai. I think it's O and then E, the kanji.
Oi? Owarai? What? Really? Wow, that sounds.
Owarai.
It sounds like because Owarai is like what? Laughing, right?
Not Owarai or Arai.
Owarai.
Alright.
Owarai.
Owarai.
Oh, okay. So like it's Owarai.
No, so that's a very spot that I used to like to go to watch the sunset when I was a student. I just used to drive a car out there and sleep in the car and wake up and just watch the sunset. So Ibaraki is actually a very, I think it's another hidden gem spot as well. That's actually with Mount Scuba.
Yeah.
You got Owarai, Umi.
And if you go a little above those beaches, you'll go to that Hitachi Seaside Park, which is amazing. Have you guys seen that? It has it has flowers flood.
Oh.
Yeah, in the season. It's a huge park, beautiful.
Isn't right now the season? Is it a season right now?
I think they have flowers for every season.
Oh, really?
So they have like hills all covered with flowers.
Oh.
And it's a huge park. You can have barbecue or you can just spend the day. And
Have you climbed Mount Fuji?
yes, last year.
Oh, last year. Okay. Have you climbed Mount Fuji, Jayden?
No. The biggest mountain I have climbed is Mount Takao.
Okay, Takao-san is nice. Yeah.
Hachioji.
Takao. That's not far from where I stay, so that's a very beautiful mountain.
That's
that
a
I like
very
to climb.
beautiful mountain. Yeah. You can go to Mount Omoro because they
Where's
don't
that
have
at?
any option of hiking. You can only take a chairlift to go there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where
In
is that?
Izu?
Izu?
Yeah,
oh.
near Ito. But it is beautiful. It's just like, a big green bowl.
Mhm.
And it has a ditch in it and very beautiful green grass all over.
Oh, okay.
And it's highly recommended.
Okay.
In that area.
So Mount Scuba is your number one out of everything that
Yeah.
you've experienced in Japan. So can you give us like your top 5 recommended place to visit if you're for the first time coming here?
Definitely Kawaguchiko, Lake Kawaguchiko.
Kawaguchiko,
Yeah,
okay.
that is my first. If somebody's here and they're just here for one day, I will take them there.
Oh, okay.
And add Lake Saiko and Yamanaka with it. But if one place, that's Lake Kawaguchiko. And that actually covers Mount Fuji and a lake experience. And then if a mountain, I would recommend, and if someone wants to hike, I would recommend Scuba-san. Not only because the mountain, but if you make an effort to go to Scuba, which is very easily reachable from Tokyo, Scuba itself has a feel of a different and international city in Japan. I think that's the only place where I've seen in some areas, electric wiring is underground, so there are no poles. So, and because of the JAXA and Space Center and the Science Museum and the planetarium, so Scuba, though it's a small town, but it has so much to offer for young people, for families, kids enjoy Scuba. So Kawaguchiko, Scuba, and because not everyone will be able to go to Japan Alps because they are tough to reach and maybe it will cost more to go there. So if you just want to have a similar experience, but in less time, you can go to Zaosan.
Zaosan.
Yeah,
Okay.
in Yamagata. It's again the walls of snow. And Zaosan itself is very beautiful. And then there's a sulfur lake, very interesting green colored lake in the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that would be the third, because I'm trying to share different kind of experiences. If you are able to actually go, I'm talking about places which are accessible from Tokyo maybe, but if we add Kansai region as well, then my fourth will be Kobe Herb Gardens. So from Shin Kobe Station, you can just take this air cabin and go up. And coming down, it is so beautiful, a hike, and you can see beautiful views of Kobe city and Kobe port. And so that I would say would be number 4 for me. Number 5, if someone actually can go to Hirosaki in Omori, and especially in the time September, October, November, when it's apple season, it will be going or walking through a kind of a part of heaven or paradise that we can think of, because it's just apples everywhere. And for miles and miles, you will see apples of different kinds, on both sides of the streets. And then they have an apple park. And even if you happen to be in Hirosaki, I would highly recommend that you visit Hirosaki Castle, because castles in all of the Japanese cities are almost the same, like Nagoya or Osaka-jo, but it's only Hirosaki Castle which is very different than the other castles.
How many castles does Nagoya have?
I don't know, but it's like
Lots.
Only one.
Yeah, if like Nagoya, Gifu, Osaka, they are like and like they're kind of the same architecture, of the kind of same feel, but in the Hirosaki Castle is quite different in its look. It's very old. It's less fleshy, more organic kind of place. And if you happen to be in Hirosaki Castle, which is in a koen there, in that koen, there's a very famous picture spot where two trees are making a heart shape in between. So you should not miss that. So if you can go to Hirosaki, that's good. And then if you are actually going up north there, like, I would say Lake Toada in Akita Prefecture, like above, like, so if you are traveling from Sendai to Aomori, Lake Toada is so big and so amazing, and it has great views both for sunset and sunrise, and there are also some activities you can do in the lake. And if you keep going north, then I would recommend, if you just have to go to one place in Hokkaido, go to Biei. Biei is just very beautiful. Like there is a blue pond there.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and there is an active volcano behind the pond, and very good tourist infrastructure. So I would recommend you drive there if you can, instead of getting on a tourist bus. If you can drive, just rent a car, drive yourself. Hokkaido is beautiful, like those all dairy farms, and enjoy the fresh cream. And now coming back down, I would recommend this place called Kirashiki. It's, I think, near Okayama.
Okay.
If you are a little down the Okayama and a little up Shikoku, this place is a kind of heritage Japanese town. But it is, I have been to quite some heritage villages and towns, but this Kurashiki is amazing, beautiful. I think it could be one of the top most honeymoon spots.
Oh.
It's so beautiful. It has a river flowing. There are boats. And then in Kurashiki, there is an old spinning factory. Of course, this area I'm talking about is Japan's textile hub. Yeah. But a lot of factories are closed now because Japan has moved out of basic textiles. And so in Kurashiki, they have converted an old spinning factory into an ivy garden. So it's very beautiful. The whole place is ivy, vines everywhere. And then there's a veranda in between with a very beautiful restaurant and like kind of a must-go place. And then if you plan to go to some place in the very, very south, like in that Okinawa area, I will say Ishigaki. Yeah, it's still kind of like you feel, I think millions of people must have visited it. But still, if you go there, you will feel like it's a virgin, untouched place because the beaches and if you happen to be in Ishigaki, I would highly recommend you take a boat that takes you in the middle of the waters and then drop you in the middle of the water because there are small sand islands, like kind of dunes in the water. So they drop you near that, and it's all around is just sea, but you get off in the water, but you can touch the surface of sand, and then you can walk and go to that very small white sand island. Okay. And you can spend like few hours and get back to the boat and then come back. And maybe the last thing, which is actually my first thing in Tokyo, if somebody is in Tokyo and they have very little time, I would say go to Aqua Line Umihotaro parking area. That is a very good observatory. very nice place. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Like I can talk about many places.
you can.
Yeah, you have been to many places I've never even heard of, like, most of them. So I was writing notes for myself.
Yeah.
So
maybe one day if you have nothing, to do, you can just kind of look at my Instagram and make a big list.
Yeah.
Oh, if you just check out the Google Maps, there might be a review on it too.
Yeah, I'm looking for your review now.
Yeah.
That's awesome, especially like the place you said, Hirosaki and Aomori.
Yeah.
That was very interesting, especially because I know they're known for their apples and their juices.
Yeah.
And you said if you can go around apple season time, I think that would be very
and they take apples very seriously, more than I think New York City does take apples seriously.
The Big Apple.
Yeah. So because when I was there for the first time and I was just driving around, and it was my first exposure to such huge apple orchard land. So I saw a lot of aluminium sheets in different orchards on the ground.
Oh.
And I could not actually make out what they were doing. So I talked to one of the farmers there and I said, like, why are you putting these sheets under the trees? So he said, because the outer side or upper side of the apple is getting direct sunlight. So it is getting to a certain red color. So we are putting the sheets so the sunlight reflects and make the downside also exactly the same tone of red color. So, which was amazing and so they are taking apples very seriously.
Yeah, I think like that's like Japan in general. Like when you, like I heard that like apples, like if it's one side is like different color, they don't sell it at all. So like it has to be that in that specific, there's like a specific color range that has to be in before going to the market and stuff. So like I think this year has been like very difficult probably for the people who make apple because like the sunlight was very strong and like a bunch of like weather conditions, bad weather conditions stuff made it difficult for them to sell.
Even for other fruits, like if you go to Yamanashi and the way they grow this giant muscat grapes, it's amazing. Like they cover it in paper bag and then they try to cut off the grape, which is not. And similar thing I saw in like some strawberry farms in Chiba and Ibaraki. Like they were looking at the cap of the strawberry to see how many kind of
the leaves
are there in the crown, and then they were just discarding. So I met this Japanese old couple who had this strawberry farm, and they were just cutting off the non-standard committing strawberries, which were again very good strawberries, but maybe by looking at it, they were not fulfilling that criteria. So, and they were just putting them away. And I said, like, do you want to sell these? And they said, no, we cannot sell these because they're not according to the standard. And I was like, I'm saying that I want to buy it. You can charge me less. They said, no, we just cannot sell you because they are not supposed to be sold.
Pride in it. Yeah.
And then when I was like leaving with a sad face, so he called me, he said, do you want it for free? I said, yes, why not? He said, yes, for free you can take it, but I can't sell it to you.
Yeah.
And so I took all those strawberries.
It's interesting, like how farmers like in Japan, they take their agriculture really seriously to the point like they seriously don't sell you like bad products. They want to sell you the best products.
So when people outside Japan, they ask me about Japan and Japanese people, like, so one thing that I definitely mention is that of all the countries I have visited in the world, Japan is the first country where I've seen so much respect for vegetables and fruits, which I have never seen anywhere. Like they would kind of praise each tomato or a radish or how the rice harvest is going these days. So it's amazing. Yeah.
You know it's safe when you eat vegetables in Japan. When you like thinking about back in the States, when I eat vegetable in the States, I kind of really look at how the condition of the vegetables. How is it for you in New Zealand? Like you're back here.
Fruits, I think, in New Zealand are quite good. Seasonal times, but definitely vegetables. I think I'm not sure how they pick it from like the farms and stuff like that, because I know New Zealand has a big agriculture, but just the way how you see it at the supermarket, it just looks a little bit. I don't
It's
know
unappealing,
how
right?
long it's been. How long it's been sitting there, or something like that. Or like, why is it all like out in the open? Like, people are probably touching it now. It's not good putting it back.
Yeah.
So it's, in terms of that way, it's a lot different to Japan. I know if in Japan, I think some products even tell when it's, even if it's like vegetables, like use it by this date, or this morning's cuttings. And their supermarket, they always cycle in and out throughout the day. The convenience stores with their sandwiches, the morning sandwiches won't be there by night. Even if they weren't sold, they'll probably be gone, and everything will be recycled. So you know that your products that you're getting are always going to be fresh in Japan, which is something that I really like.
So I have a question here, maybe, or like if you guys can comment, because I have seen that in most of the Japanese households, if they have a fruit tree, and I have a feeling that they don't eat that fruit, because I see that fruit either being picked up by birds or falling, because these days it's kaki season. And just like 2 days ago, I was driving in Ibaraki somewhere, and I saw in some houses, there were trees full of kaki. No one was picking that kaki, and that was either drying out or just falling down. And then I actually asked a couple of people there, and they said, like, we prefer buying from the market. And I was like, then this fruit is just going nowhere.
Yeah, like my grandparents' house has a kaki tree as well. Like you mentioned, we don't pick it up that often. If she notices it, she picks it up and she like cuts it and then like washes it and stuff. Like, it's different from like way a person who's in like a regular home make it compared to those who are specialized in agriculture. So agriculture in Japan, like they have classes for that, they have schools for it. So people who are very trained in that field do grow the vegetables, so you could trust it. But when it's like something that it's mostly most houses that has that, it's been there since they bought it. Like it's a shocking thing to see, I'm sure, but it's kind of normal. Like in my case especially, so it wasn't that surprising. Like, I
hope they allow people to just pick those. They're not picking themselves.
But it's when you think about it, just like, you know, it's foods for the birds, fruits for the animals, you know. So it's not completely going to waste.
And getting back to the
land itself. So have you noticed that too, Jayden?
No, actually, I've never. That's the first time I've heard of it before. But I know my Japanese host family's grandmother's house. I know she has a lot of fruits throughout her big garden. And now that I think about it, I don't think we've ever eaten anything from that garden. Now that you mention it,
it's not properly like looked after. So I don't think like a lot of people even want to try those things.
Yeah, because she does have like vegetation, like where she does some smaller types of vegetables, I think. But the fruit, I think they have a big fruit tree out the back somewhere. I've never seen that. I've only seen the other stuff that she properly cultivates through. I'm not sure if that's the word for it, but that she does grow ever since that house has been there. So now that you mentioned that, it's just been passed through tradition, through year by year, and that's the only food that from the garden that they actually eat.
If that answered your question.
I got my answer right.
I think like a lot, like that's in our case, but I'm sure like a lot of like other households have a different opinion on that. They probably do like take care of it and then actually eat it, but like compared to the one that's out in the market, it's much more high quality compared to the ones in your house. So that's just a difference, I guess.
Yes, because as I'm also connected to this like group of farmers again in Tsukuba area, and because that's my most visited place in Japan. So I see them because they are running different farms, like vegetable and fruit farms, and even like chicken farms. And So they take the farming very, very seriously. Like even each fruit, each piece of fruit and each piece of vegetable, each egg. So I can imagine like when on one side, somebody has this confidence that somebody is taking care of these things very closely as far as their, if their things are healthy or not, or safe or not, as compared to something which is very organic or which is just growing on its own. And so, yeah, I can understand.
Yeah, if you notice, like, I don't know, I'm in Pakistan, but like, do you guys have organic food in Pakistan?
Yes, we do.
So like, America, we have organic food. So what about New Zealand? Organic food?
Yeah, we have organic foods. Yes.
So like, if you notice, Japan, they don't have like, they do, but it's not that big. Like organic food is not that big. The reason why, in my opinion, is that I think everything they do is already organic anyways.
Exactly. I agree.
So there's no point for them to say this is an organic product. But like in America or like in other countries, you kind of have to say a product is organic for the people to buy it, to trust it. Organic foods are healthy, are very well preserved, well made. But in Japan's case, that's everything, which is surprising,
Here, I also believe that there is a very important and positive role of JA, Japan Agriculture, because they standardize these farming practices all over the country in the same fashion. So that's why sometimes it's very monotonous to see the same. But JA, I think, is playing a great role.
Yeah, it's a huge. They have a huge role to play in Japan, and they've been supporting the agriculture culture in Japan. So,
like in Hirosaki, when I was there, so I also went to the market where the farmers would bring all these apples and just dump the apples, and that's where JA's work starts. So they were sorting it, and they were like, and I talked to a couple of JA people, and they were like, it's now their job is done. They should not worry if these apples are going to be sold and they'll get money. So they will just get money, and now it is our job to sort, grade, and sell apples or take them to the market. So which is a very good model, and
they actually look at it like each and every thing that comes through. Humans look at it. And then if it's good, they put it down and then like write it down and stuff. And that's how farmers sell their product.
So it's interesting that because in the last couple of years, we have also started exporting human resource from Pakistan to Japan, both unskilled and skilled. And so because of COVID, Japanese companies actually could not travel. So we asked them that if they can interview the people they were shortlisting online. And so I saw a little reluctance, but still, because they were doing so, when people on the Pakistan side were getting frustrated that why they're not moving. So I told them that because that's how I see, and my impression is that unless a Japanese touches something, they don't believe. So they have to touch that guy they want to hire, or at least see that person right in front of them.
Right.
So even if it is he or she is on the screen, that is not enough.
Yeah,
so
I know.
So now we see that now, because since COVID travel restrictions were lifted last November or October, and companies started going to Pakistan. And so now we see that every week there are new people being hired. But till the time they could actually see those guys, it was difficult.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's how did you feel like about that difference in I don't know, American human resource kind of style, but in your country, how is it like?
So I think we are also closer to the Japanese model.
Okay.
And what I feel is that if we compare it with American or other very Western model where people are fine with very, very distant selection, is that because Japanese work ethics and culture believes in relationship building. And for that, you have to have that kind of, chemistry coming in, playing its role and connecting you with those people. It's not, you're not looking at a person for only work, but you're looking at a person to kind of carry your company's name. That's what I have learned from here, that in Japan, if anyone is working in any company, maybe in Mitsubishi, so when they introduce themselves, so they won't say like Cheema-san or Suda-san, but they would say Mitsubishi this. Like, so they would kind of impersonate that company. So if you want that kind of loyalty and if you want that kind of connection, then of course you have to make a little more effort in judging or evaluating the person more. In Pakistan, we are kind of the same, but because we have easy access to this huge population, young population. So it doesn't matter otherwise. But I think it's different. But because if you see the American or Western companies, they would, I'm not an expert or an authority on it, but maybe they will just treat them as a worker or something. Even if a robot is working for them, it's okay. The job is done. But in Japanese, they want to connect. They want to make them a part of their whole thing.
What do you think about like Japan right now? They're high age society right now. What do you think about that?
It actually, because now I feel myself connected with Japan, apart from my job or whatever role I've been playing, because I had this opportunity of actually to connect with Japanese people and culture and like, so I feel a little sad and also threatened because when I go to these far-flung places like this, I told about Kurashiki, like this very beautiful town which can attract many tourists. It is attracting, but it can attract many more tourists. But the sad thing is that that whole town with beautiful shops and beautiful restaurants, they're empty, they're closed.
Right.
There are no people even to run those. Like, so having all that infrastructure and having all that, and we were talking about farming and like in Hirosaki, all these farms. But in Hirosaki, I made like very good Japanese friends, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to meet them after 5 years or 10 years because they're already very, very old.
Right.
So, and I'm not seeing even in 1 or 2 cases where the kids are actually staying with them. But even if somebody has a kid, he or she is in Sendai or Osaka or Tokyo or Yokohama. So this is threatening. And I think Japanese government and authorities, they are thinking about it. That's why they're opening up to have more international people because that's the only source. Like, and that's how every other country did. Like but we know like Japan is a very traditional closed society. So they might not open for immigrants as we have seen in the US or Canada or Australia. But they will have to somehow think about it. Otherwise, at least I will feel very sad because now when I went to Kurashiki, if there are like roughly, if there are 100 shops available in that facility, there were only 2 which were open, which were running business, and rest all were closed. So what happens maybe in next 10 years, those 2 also close. So you will miss that great place and like, and then it will start catching rust or like maybe it will become difficult for the city to spend on that facility.
Right. What do you think about like Japan, like kind of like expanding on their, like especially Tokyo area, like buildings, making it better, but destroying it and then making it better, bigger, and so putting all their like effort into that. But like when you look at the other locations, we have a word called Genkai Shuraku, which means like limited city, limited town, I think, urban areas that's limited on resources in Japan. And those areas actually become more and more less populated to the point where there's 0 populations in that area. Have you ever visited those kind of area before?
Yes, for example, and it's interesting that even the places which are very popular on Google Maps and there are tourist places and trains and ferries are connecting to you to those places. Like, for example, I went to this place called Himakajima in Aichi Prefecture, and there are ferries going all the time and a lot of tourists go there. I spent a couple of days there, and the thing that really made me sad was, of course, like any other Japanese town, they have a big elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
I did not see kids. And right in front of the school, there were a lot of apartment buildings. Like they were kind of, I would say, maybe easy residential place for teachers or staff to live right across the school. No one was living there.
Oh,
there was rust all over. And the view, I went to the balcony, the view was beautiful. Of course, that is a very beautiful island, it's known for its octopus. So, but I could not hear kids sound in that town. So yes, and this similar thing I've seen in many other cities, because whenever I go for work or traveling to some certain place, I try to spend more time in just going away from those places and see how things are, like how the city is or the town is. And so you were talking about like this Tokyo refurbishing its buildings. But I don't think that should be taken as a solution, because that will only further populate. Because I think I don't have statistics, but I can roughly say that Tokyo is the only place in Japan which has positive growth of population.
So, it's densely populated.
But rest of everyone is going negative.
Right.
But the good thing or the positive side is that of pandemic was that in pandemic, we saw that working from home could be normal. So when COVID was not ending, I think almost 2 years ago, when no one knew that. So I was still talking to a lot of Japanese companies and they were having issues. And so one of the ideas we discussed was that why don't you just go out of Tokyo? Because if people can work remotely, you are not supposed to have an address in Tokyo or your headquarters in Tokyo, especially like these IT companies and service providing companies, startups. You can work and I know there was a company right here in Tokyo, an IT company, and during COVID, they moved to Iwajishima near Kobe.
Oh,
yes.
Really?
Yeah. And I was talking to the CEO and his wife, and they were like, yes, we thought that we are all like for more than a year, we are working from home, sitting in our apartment. Why not to go to a place at least where we can have more air, more view? Like they were having their first baby. So good for the kid to just run around. And it's the same work because all of their employees were working online. So, so I think that is something that should be or could be done. Good thing about Japan, what I've seen, which is that maybe in most of the countries, I'm not sure about New Zealand because I've never been to New Zealand, but I've heard about New Zealand, or Australia or US or the places where I have myself seen these things. So when there are big metropolitans like Tokyo, and then when you go a little away, 2 hours, 3 hours drive. So small towns are not as equipped as the metropolitan is.
Right.
But the thing in Japan, which I've seen, is that most of these small, these prefectural capital cities or smaller cities, they have the kind of equally good infrastructure, as in train connectivity or bus connectivity or some small airport or this internet or all and the city, all city governments are very aggressive in building their economy so which is a good thing that if companies, they would make a decision of moving out of Tokyo and Osaka and Yokohama, that can actually make smaller hubs. When COVID just started and we started discussing about supporting Japanese IT industry by connecting our IT engineers with Japan or outsourcing from Japan to Pakistan. So I was talking to these big HR companies like MyNavi and other who hire a lot of IT engineers, and we were talking about the cost of maintaining these engineers in Tokyo, which was very high, the residential cost and electricity cost and all that. And then we did some kind of scenario building of moving out these IT engineers and letting them work in places like Tsukuba or Maebashi or some other place. And so we found that the cost was way too less to maintain this new human resource in those places. And especially if there is a connection of train, if they happen to attend office or the headquarter. So that could be done. And another thing that I came across just, I think 6 months ago, a Japanese company hired a Pakistani IT engineer for their, like the company is in Hiroshima, and they hired this IT guy, and he shared his contract with me. And when I was reading the contract, I was amazed. The company offered him free mobility.
Oh.
He can live anywhere in Japan, but he has to be in Japan. He doesn't need to go to Hiroshima like every month, but maybe if and when required. The company would pay for that travel. And so they offered him one of the best level of salaries, free mobility. He can choose any maybe least expensive place to live in Japan. And and now it's been 6 months and the guy is working with that company successfully. So that means this can be done. Like it's not necessary that everyone has to come to Taranamon Hills to work in IT go to Roppongi Hills building.
But I think that's like whether a company is economically stable or not.
No, but on that, let me tell you that these less populated regions like Hiroshima and Sendai or other places, they are giving great subsidies for companies to move in.
Oh.
So they have very good subsidies plans. So if anyone is interested, you should look at these plans. Just a few months ago, Guy Mushu, like Minister of Foreign Affairs in Tokyo, they held a seminar where I attended that seminar, and I think 2 or 3 different regions pitched these subsidies. Sendai was like the Hoku region was there, Hiroshima was there, and there was one more. So even whenever I go to these prefectural government offices, I always try to meet their international business or international development office, like in Yamagata or somewhere. So they all have very good plans to attract new companies. So even if company can't afford that move, it's just like you open an office in those prefectures and with the city and prefectural subsidy and just start engaging new human resource in your new hubs and develop that.
Oh, that's interesting. Also, each prefecture supports.
Yeah.
that. Oh, okay.
They all have these very good plans. And I hope you know that Japan is coming up with this super and smart cities concept.
Yeah.
Yes. So, Tsukuba is going to be one of the smart cities. Osaka is going to be one smart city.
Oh, wow.
And then Susuno in Shizuoka is going to be Toyota's smart city.
Yeah, Toyota,
Yeah. So they all have kind of offers for companies to come in and establish, both local and foreign companies.
Okay, wow. So that's really interesting. You good, Jayden? You catching up?
That is very interesting. I'm trying to.
Yeah,
I'm trying to keep
process
up with what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And this work industry, I'm like, whoa, this is a lot to take in, but it's very interesting, very different from how I see Japan. I see Japan in more of the sports way, media side, sports side, but here in your work side, the economy side, I definitely can relate with as a New Zealand, how especially before COVID, everyone was really centered in the main city, Auckland, the main city area. But during COVID, some people have realized that if they can work online, they don't have to be in the city, and they've moved outside of the city, maybe like a 1 or 2 hour drive. And in those little small areas, the infrastructure has improved. Like I remember the last time I went through the small town that sold really nice ice creams called Pokino. It just used to be 2 ice cream shops, and it wasn't very populated. And I went through there last week, and now they have a big, massive supermarket. They have lots of houses now, petrol station. The infrastructure for that area has improved so much that people can now live in that area, and it's now an attractive area to live in. So that was just something that I could really relate to when you're talking about how Japan, mainly people are living in Tokyo, but there is that option of moving outside.
Yeah, maybe DaDen's next big studio will be in Scuba Smart City. You can look at the options.
Maybe it'll be in the mountains.
Shizuoka.
We could climb the mountain every day.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just put the mountain.
Climb the mountain
Put the
before
studio in the
podcast.
mountain. Okay, that's really interesting. Wow, a lot of insight. You have you're not gonna be staying in Japan for too long. You're going back to Pakistan, right?
Yeah.
What would be your last place you want to visit before going back?
So yeah, I think it's interesting that I was actually supposed to leave Japan a couple of months ago, and when I was thinking that I'm done with Japan, like I have almost done everything in Japan, like all places. But then I was extended for a few months, and in these months, in the past 2 months, I realized there are so many more places that I have never been to, and I should actually go. So I have been going to these places, but now because I'm just like a week or two away from leaving, so if I get a chance, I want to go to this place in Nagano. They grow wasabi there, and wasabi is grown in the most cleanest water.
Oh yeah.
So that's a requirement. So this is a town in Nagano which is famous for wasabi cultivation. And
have you been to the cultivation area?
This one where I want to go?
Yeah.
No, but I have seen others. Yeah, but so I want to go there because I have seen pictures of water streams there with those.
It is clear.
Yeah, it's very clear. You can see that grass shields.
Yeah.
And so I really want to go there.
It's
if I
insane.
could.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely recommend you to go there. It's a really nice place.
Yeah, I will try.
Have you had wasabi before, of course, right?
Yeah, I have wasabi.
Have you ate it have you ate it as it is before?
Before means
as it is. Like, have you had it without
so
slicing it down?
Last summer I was doing a all alone road trip in Izu Peninsula, like going to all the coastal area, like starting from Ito and then coming back to Numazu. So on the way, I found this place. Of course, I'm not recalling the name, but that was a wasabi area where they had this wasabi ice cream. So I got that crushed wasabi, so I could taste with a spoon. But that is not as kind of fuming wasabi as when you get it processed. Yeah. So the fresh one is, I think, a little less bitter.
Wasabi. Image like it is in sushi when you eat it, it's very not spicy, but it's kind of like a weird feeling, like it goes up to your.
It touches your nose.
But wasabi is actually not that when you eat it before it's processed. It's actually supposed to be sweeter.
Yeah, it's like ginger, kind of that. Yeah. So I have seen some wasabi fields near Tamagawa. Yeah, but Nagano ones I would love to see.
Okay, cool. All right, so that was a very insightful thing. It was great having you with all these informations that so many to process for me. So I've been in Japan for I've been in Japan for a long time. I've never visited. I'm not a big traveler guy, so I don't really visit these areas. But hearing what you had to say, I want to consider traveling. I think it's a thing that I should do before I myself want to go back to America, maybe. So it was great.
And I think also it's important because these days we see a lot of tourists are coming to Japan and it's all crowded. Like Tokyo and Kyoto, they are crowded like anything. Right. So I think there is a need to identify and promote other places as well, which are very beautiful in Japan, and especially for these foreign tourists who come to Japan and they buy this JR pass. So with that JR pass, actually, they can go to many places, not only to Kyoto and Osaka. I think maybe people like you can promote and tell people about other places. I can always send you tips about the places like where JR Pass can take you. So there are many hidden gems actually. So these gems can be seen. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Jayden, if you have any last word.
That was awesome. Especially I love traveling because traveling is not only good. It's so good for both you physically and mentally. just escaping the crazy life of Tokyo. And I thought I knew some places, but obviously I don't know anything compared to some of the places that you recommended. So I have written down a big page of notes here, and there's definitely some real cool places, especially Ishigaki. I've never been to Ishigaki, but that beautiful island, that beach lifestyles, playing on sand dunes, that sounds like my type of place.
Yeah.
And also how you said Nagoya has a castle, sort of seems to think there's no castle there.
No,
but,
I know there's a castle there.
Obviously, he doesn't travel much like me and you, so he doesn't know much about Tokyo.
I'm gonna go to Nagoya just to see how many castles there are.
Nagoya would be on my last on my list. Like if I have to go to places in Japan.
That's how.
Because it's like. It's more like most like factories and all that. So
it's not. There's not much to see, to be honest.
Yeah.
And
so,
it's not unfortunate. That's how the city is made.
Yeah.
So. But yes, thank you for coming today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Sorry that Jayden was in New Zealand.
I'm sorry I rushed it, but you never know you never know when you're here. I'm already here, so
maybe you'll get another 2 weeks extended.
I will hate that, but it can happen.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you guys for tuning in to DaDen. As always, please hit that subscribe and like the video if you want to see more. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you, Tahir, for coming today. Thank you, Jayden, for your time in New Zealand.
No problem at all. I'll be back soon, everybody. So Suda probably misses me, so I'll be back soon.
Oh yeah, I miss you so much.
And you guys can come to Pakistan sometime. We have beautiful northern areas. So
okay, I'll think about that. if you invite us, then we'll go.
Why not? Yeah.
If the ticket's gonna be paid,
yeah. Oh, okay.
Jayden, you've been to Pakistan?
About it, yeah.
I've never been.
Oh, then it's a good place to go.
If the embassy wants DaDen,
for sure.
Over there, we'll be happy to make a work trip.
Yes.
We'll make time for you.
Yes.
Okay. We'll be looking forward. Yeah.
But anyways, thank you for coming today.
Thank you.